people will know where to find it.
No, I don't know how a sticker works.
Yeah.
I'm not really YouTuber enough to know how the stupid stickers work.
Despite going on it every single
Hey guys, how are you doing today? Welcome to another one of our awesome live session. We are stoked to have the good people of the internet, the travelers of the world, join us to chat about how awesome is New Zealand. We're here to answer all your questions about traveling in New Zealand. So if you have any, hit us up on the live chat while Laura introduces us.
Yeah, if you're wondering who the hell we are, this is Robin and I'm Laura, and we're the team behind backpackerguide.nz, which is a free website, literally with so many articles about traveling in New Zealand. So usually if you do have any questions, that website can help. But if you're the sort of person that prefers to, watch some videos, maybe listen to people talking while you're working away on your laptop, then this is what this live Q&A session is for. You can come on here and ask your questions in the live chat about traveling in New Zealand, and we will do our utmost to help you answer that question. So throughout the live session, ask us questions, but throughout the week, you can also ask us questions in the comment section of any of our YouTube videos, and we do collect them so that we can answer them in this live session as well. You can also find us on Facebook and ask your questions through a private message. Just search Backpacker Guide NZ. You can find us on Instagram and send us a private message at backpackerguide.nz. And you can mention us on Twitter, but we're not 100% sure whether Robin will check Twitter. So you can always find us there at BPK Guide.
I have to admit, I did forget Twitter this week again. Sorry, people of Twitter. All right, so saying hi to live chat. This is quite a lot of people. That's pretty cool. Good morning, Sarah. She said, how are you? It must be early, It is 8 a.m. in New Zealand right now, and this is the time that we actually show up every single Sunday, New Zealand time, for the live session. So that should be about Saturday at those times if you are somewhere else in the world. Where are you guys from, by the way? Are those time correct? What time is it where you are? What day is it? I think for most of you guys will be Saturday. And how are you doing? We're doing pretty well. We have cranked up the heat pump because it's winter in New Zealand right now, so it's pretty cold. So we have the beanie on. We're keeping ourselves warm, and we're spending an hour with you guys. So it's pretty awesome. Russell says, hi, Lauren and Robin. So hi.
My name's Laura, not Lauren.
Oh, wow. What is that? He's from Tomarunui, which is
cool.
in central Northern, and it's a really cool place to live in. There is the volcano nearby.
There's the Forgotten World highway, which starts from there, which is a really awesome road trip.
You can do it on rail biking.
Yeah,
really
there's
awesome.
rail biking there where you go on an old railway line and sort of pedal on this little thing. It's really fun.
And only Laura pedals with her hands. Everybody else.
That's why I go really slow.
That is just her. Mohammed says, good day. And he says, thank you so much for your commitment and concern to help out others. Oh, you're very welcome. We love doing that. Russell says he loves the Forgotten World Highway. And Sarah is actually from Indonesia, but she lives in the UK with her husband.
Awesome.
Are you planning a trip to New Zealand soon, Sarah? All right. So while you guys are warming up with some questions for us, we thought we'd go through some of the questions we received during the week. And we're going to start with a question we received on Instagram. How do you ask us questions on Instagram? What's the handle?
Well, you can ask us on at backpackerguide.nz.
All right. So Marie-Christine Leher on Instagram says, hey, sorry for asking another question, but maybe you could help me. Yes, we can. I found a route map for InterCity Flexi Pass, and there is just a few bus stops. Do you know if there is any more small stops that are not on this map? P.S. I'm really thankful for your home site and your YouTube videos. All right, so I first want to address one thing. Almost every single time you're going to buy any kind of tours or passes or transportation routes in New Zealand, you're going to be given one of those kind of maps, which have a lot of icons on there and usually only shows like the biggest places, the highlights of everywhere you can go and everything like that. And they don't necessarily always show every single places that you're going to drive through, that you can stop at. It's just because they like to make things a little bit easier for people. However, when you're planning a trip around New Zealand, it's not necessarily the best. Now, one of the companies that we're talking about right now is InterCity, and they are very much guilty of doing that. The offer is quite confusing, and that's the reason why we have so many InterCity videos on this channel, just because there's a lot of people that get really confused by the offer. And so we kind of just clear out the fog and explain a little bit about what it is. So this video right here will specifically address the InterCity map to give you a bit more of an insight on how that works. But it kind of works for almost every single kind of transportations in New Zealand. All right. So on this map right here, what I've decided to do, which I think will be a bit easier because there is obviously a lot of destination, is that I decided to take a couple of points of the map and kind of show you how many stops there is along the way, list them all for you because obviously we take those buses regularly. And so you have a bit more of an idea in how many stops there is, and you can obviously replicate that everywhere on the map. So for this example right here, I thought we could take from Auckland to Kerikeri, which is just right above Bahia. And we're going to be going through all the stops which are on the way, so you know basically what you're in
What's
for.
there?
All right, so we'll take the big map because that's going to be much easier. All right, my dear Laura, what about we start with putting Auckland and Kerikeri on the map? Can you put the big dots right here?
So Auckland's somewhere around here.
Yeah.
And then Kerikeri's
Higher.
Oh, really?
Higher. Yeah. A little bit higher. It's on the coast, but yeah. It's not close.
It's in the middle.
Okay, if you want. All right, cool. And then we're going to be doing little dots, just tiny dots everywhere you can stop. So let I just show you quickly what there is. So for the Auckland one, just put them around there.
Yeah.
All right, so for the route of taking an InterCity between Auckland to Kerikeri, here are what the stops are. Okay. The first one is Okoranga, which is in Auckland. The next one is Albany, which is still around Auckland. All those ones are kind of Auckland suburbs. Orewa, which is another Auckland suburb. Waiwera, which is another Auckland suburb. Warkworth, which is probably the northernmost suburbs of Auckland. Shipwold, which is one of the main attractions in Warkworth, so it's a little bit northern more than Warkworth. Then we are leaving Auckland and we are in Westford.
Somewhere around
here.
Keep
going. Yeah. Just make sure you don't hit Whangarei until I say Whangarei. I know there's a lot of dots. Then we have Te Hana.
Yep.
Then we have Kaiwaka. Yep. Then we have Bridewin. Then we have Waipu. Then we have Ruakaka. Then we have Oakley.
Oh, that's a lot of stops.
And then we have Whangarei. So that's the first main town out of Auckland. So that's all those stops just going here. Again, we're going all the way to Kerikeri, right? So now we're going to go from Whangarei to Pahia, which is the next main town. So there is Kamo. There is Hikurangi. Some amazing cheese there. Hukerenui. Towai. Kawakawa. Opua Hill.
Yeah.
And then finally we're in Pahia, which is the next main town. And then the next stop will be Kerikeri. So that's a simple bus ride, which very often costs like about $40. That's a very cheap bus ride in InterCity, and that's all the stops that you will have along the way. Now, if you look at the InterCity map right now, what it shows is that it only shows the big dots. So it will only show Auckland, Whangarei, Pahia, and then Kerikeri. So that's why we made the dot a little bit big. But now you can see how many little dots you have in between. So in very rare cases, when the towns are very, very close to each other, like Pahia and Kerikeri, then you will be a direct service. But still, for example, when leaving Auckland, you saw how many little suburbs we did around Auckland. So just to give you an idea, and we're going to count them, between Auckland and Whangarei, there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 stops until you arrive in Whangarei for your 14th stop. On the map right here that we've seen, I know the quality on YouTube is not great, but if you look at Auckland to Whangarei, there is literally 0 stops. So that's just to give you a bit of an idea. And then if we go from Whangarei to Pahia, which again is just 2 dots on this map right here, we're having 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 dots. So yes, there are a lot of little stops along the way, and you are able to stop in any of those ways. Usually it's obviously better and cheaper if you book yourself just up the way, up where you're going. Don't book yourself up to Pahia if you're only going to Whangarei, for example. But yeah, you can stop anywhere along the way. And when you book your Flexi Pass, which is kind of a bus pass around New Zealand, then at that point you are able to make your own itinerary yourself. So you are able to actually decide, well, I don't want to go to Pahia, I just want to go to Kerikeri. I don't want to go to Whangarei, I just want to go to Pahia or so on.
And the great thing about on the InterCity website is when you're actually making your bookings to go to your next destination, they have drop-down menus which have an extensive list of all the little towns that they go to. So you get more of an idea of where they stop there. But even if you're not sure whether InterCity stops there, you can start typing in basically the booking platform there, and it will automatically come up with the name of the town if they do actually stop there. So yeah, and InterCity does have like the biggest network of biggest bus network in New Zealand. So they really do stop just about anywhere.
And so we just gave you this example for this short route right here because it's one of the simplest one. So it was just a simple way to kind of show you this. But between every single one of the dots on the map that we show here, the story is very similar. So every single one of those dots right here are linked with this kind of network right here. So just for the effect, we're just going to put it a little bit closer so you guys can really see how many little dots we have on the map. That is a lot of dots. So, all right. So I hope that this answered your question, Mary. We do have a lot of more information about this on backpackerguide.nz. We explain how all those passes work and all of that. So it's backpackerguide.nz. And then you go on travel tips, then transportation, and then hit the bus button and you'll have plenty of articles that go all in depth into all that.
And we will be adding a link in the description below when we do the rebroadcast of this video. So that's just a quick way to find the appropriate article you are looking for.
All right. And also, if you find that useful, take a second to like, to subscribe, just to kind of reward us for our hard work. All right, let's go back to the live chat. Sarah is saying that she's indeed planning a trip to New Zealand. She said, I'm actually wanting to know for 4 adults, what do you think is better, a rental camper van or a rental car? We will only be in New Zealand for a maximum of 3 weeks. We actually have a video on the channel that compares, using a camper van rather than the car rental and see which one is best. And we came out with car rental was by far the best.
As in terms of like the price, the price is always much better with a car, and then staying in budget accommodations as you go around. There's holiday parks, there's hostels, there's campsites, motels as well to keep the costs down.
It'll be cheaper and it'll be easier to drive. So for us, we think you should do a car. And now, do you think it's worth spending the extra money to bring down the excesses by looking for it's close to 3,000? It's really up to you. Are you going to wreck the car or not? If you're not wrecking the car, you shouldn't buy a very expensive insurance because that costs a lot of money. But yeah, it's up to you.
I mean, obviously
we have conflicting opinions.
Yeah, they do have obviously their standard insurance, which has to be included in every single car rental in New Zealand. So you do have some insurance anyway, which is a good start. So I do feel like, in the off chance that something does happen, at least you are covered a bit. And it's usually I would say don't pay the extra for insurance personally, just because it just seems to be more ways of getting money from you, which if you know you're a good driver, it tends to be fine. Do bear in mind though, obviously in New Zealand, this might be controversial to say, but some New Zealanders aren't exactly safe drivers. They're usually in a rush on winding roads, which tourists might not be used to. So it's more like just be more aware of the other people on the road, which is a bit more of a concern. But if you're getting a camper van, you do need to take it slowly on the turns. There are some sharp corners. So yeah, just know what vehicle you're getting and know that actually it's a new vehicle that you're getting. So you should take extra precautions compared to if you're driving back home as well.
For sure. All right. I don't want to say, do you think it's possible to discover New Zealand all by foot, and how long will it take? There is actually a hiking trail for that.
There is. It's called the Te Ararua Trail. And if you are fit and healthy and you're, walking most days, then usually that takes people about 160 days to walk from the very north of the North Island, so in Cape Reinga, all the way down to the southernmost town of New Zealand,
That's about 5 months.
Which is called Bluff. So yeah, that is usually how long that takes for people if they are, walking every day pretty much and fit and healthy. So yeah, that's about it. 160 days if you've got that much time.
All right. So yeah, you can definitely do that. Have fun. Yuan Lim says, weather in September, question mark. Did we do
the video? I think we did a video to that already just a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah. If you watched the video like 2 weeks ago, we actually covered all that, and we actually spent about 15 minutes going through all the weather. So yeah, I think we did this one for you, Yuan.
Yeah, so if you go onto the channel, on our YouTube channel, just click our little faces somewhere on your screen right now, and then there's a little search bar just on our channel, and if you just type in September, you will be able to see our video on what the weather is like in September.
Yeah, so we got you covered. We are going to try to republish it as just a standalone video. We don't have it just yet, but we work on that, and we'll have it out for you soon.
Is it not out already?
No, it's on schedule.
Okay.
So yeah, we work for that for you, Yuan. All right, what else is happening here? Rugby lovers say, I can't believe this is the last Q&A before I fly to New Zealand. Oh, that's awesome! When are you flying? What's the day? Like, honestly, that's so cool. So if you guys don't know, Rugby Lover 81 has been coming to our videos for what, about like 2 months? Popping in all the time, asking about 1 million questions. That was pretty awesome. And that's actually a good question about the Auckland transport to the CBD. We're going to take that in a minute. I just want to read everybody else's comments, and then we'll take this one. And then Matthew says, hi, I'm wondering about traveling in New Zealand with food allergy. I read common allergens are labeled well on packaged food and suggestion for food shopping and eating out. Well, you're correct. Everything is very well labeled. They always tell you if there is nuts. They will always tell you if there is gluten. They're very mindful of any celiac disease and anything like that. So you won't really have much of a problem, especially since usually when you have a food allergy, you kind of know what to look for.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're kind of aware of that. You can always ask at the restaurant and everything, like, especially if your allergy is very, very pronounced. Like a lot of people that try to do gluten-free, they're not necessarily allergic to gluten. They just want to reduce the amount of gluten, which is fine.
Yeah.
But if you do have a very, very, very pronounced celiac disease, you really cannot have any flour that even barely touched your food or anything like that. So at that point, you need to make sure that you say that very clearly.
Yeah, and a good thing about the restaurants in New Zealand are, like, they usually do have at least gluten-free labels on their menu. Yeah. They have vegetarian menu labels, but they don't always have nut allergy labels. So if that is the case for you, then I would always double check just to make sure. Like, it's always worth asking.
You can always ask what's in the recipe anyway. I mean, it's not trade secret. So yeah, no, you should be totally fine. We have traveled with some people that had food allergy, and they were perfectly fine. All right, Alomo sounds excited about the tiara. So I don't know if you do that. We do want to see some videos or some pictures, or we want to know we want to follow the adventure. All right, let's answer Rugby Lovers 81 question. So Rugby Lover 81 on YouTube asks, what is the best way to get from Auckland Airport to the CBD? Is it Skybus? Is it the shuttle? Is it taxi? Is it Uber? Is it Ola, which is a big one in New Zealand as well? Yeah. Let's go over all of them. All right. So Rugby Lover 81, guess what? We are actually about to take a flight in only a couple of weeks, and we literally just went through all that. I have an article on backpackerguide.nz that explains all that as well, but we just went through this process, so we do have a lot of good insight for you. So we go through every single options one by one, but I think beforehand, we can just start by telling you which one we found is actually the best one. So we are landing in Auckland in the middle of the night, and we were just trying to figure out which transportation will get us to the CBD the fastest, and also, without breaking the bank. Now, if you look at the cost of taxis and all of that, that is very easily around the $90 mark. That is $90. It's a lot of money, but you're pretty flexible. You go wherever you want, and that's quite cool.
It's basically the quickest way to get to where you want to go.
It's the quickest way, right? Then on the opposite end of this spectrum, you have the Skybus, which it goes through a set route, take you to the CBD, and it only costs you $18 per person. So you can okay, that's pretty cheap. For a couple like us, that's $34 because you can buy 2 tickets. No, sorry, 18. That's $36. My bad. That's $36. So we're okay, that sounds pretty good. And then I looked into Super Shuttle, which is a big company here in New Zealand, and I went on their website, and I paid $36.40. That's including the credit card fees for 2 people going to the CBD and being dropped right in my address.
Yeah.
So that's pretty handy. So first up, I'm going right in my address. I'm not going through the Skybus that actually dropped me off in the middle of the city, and then I have to figure out where it is. And second, the Skybus has a time schedule, and we arrive in the middle of the night. So for example, we're landing at midnight. So if we were to take the Skybus, we will only be able to take a Skybus at 3 a.m., giving us a nice 2.5 hours in the middle of the night in the Auckland airport, bored out of our mind.
So that's the problem with. So
we were not happy with that.
If there's a disadvantage to the Skybus, although it is a cheaper option, it's that the bus schedule is surprisingly infrequent. So you basically will have to usually wait around for the Skybus, and that's not the way you want to start your time in New Zealand, really.
So during the day, they come much faster, right? So during the day, it's about every 20 to 30 minutes, so you'll be able to hop in a bus and you'll be sweet, and that's totally fine. And if you're traveling alone, that's the cheapest way, because the Super Shuttle would be about the same price if you were alone anyway. Now, with the Super Shuttle, the downside is that there is probably going to be some other people in the shuttle as well, meaning that you may do an extra couple of stops. But honestly, if I have to choose between $90 and $35, I'm okay with a couple of extra stops that may take us an extra 10 minutes. I'm totally fine with that. So
and because of the size of the Super Shuttles, there's only ever about 4 other passengers, like 4 other different groups of passengers. So you're only taking about.
There are 10 seaters. There are 10-seater Super Shuttles. So you could have up to 10 people, but that never happens.
It never happens, because usually you've got a family that takes up most of the space in the Super Shuttle, and they only go to one location. And then you've usually got, like a couple of couples. There might be the odd business traveler. And I've taken the Super Shuttle in Auckland probably about, between 5 to 10 times. And
I've taken more than that.
Well, yeah.
I think you have as well. I think you underestimate how many times.
Yeah, so I've taken it a lot of times. And every single time, first of all, not all the seats are taken up. They don't wait at the airport to fill up all the seats, which is a really cool thing, because you actually get on the road faster. But also, there's only usually about 4 groups at the max that actually get dropped off on the way. So it does prove to be a pretty quick way to get to the CBD.
Yeah. Now, if you are hesitating between that and other type of shuttle, there are some cheaper shuttle than Super Shuttle. For example, Backpackers Shuttle, they actually offer rides to most places in Auckland for about $15. But you need to have a little bit of a group, so you need to wait for a few extra people. During the day, it is much better than the Skybus. No brainer, because it's cheaper than the Skybus and it gets you to your door. So during the day, it's all good. During the night, it's a little bit of a tougher one. So for this example right here, we arrive in the middle of the night. So now, if you are still watching live Rugby Lover, tell us if you arrive during the day or during the night, so we can give you a bit better of an advice. But if arriving in the middle of the day in Auckland Airport, then your best bet is actually to use something like the Backpackers Shuttle. That's $15, and they take you up wherever you need to go in Auckland. And then the next best thing is going to be the Skybus, which is about $18. That will take you alongside a set route. Then the next best one would be Super Shuttle, which is about $35, and that's going to take you to your door. And then after that, it would be a taxi. Now, an Uber and Ola. So Ola and Uber are 2 different apps that are found in New Zealand for a ride-sharing system, but you never really share the ride.
It's just a taxi, isn't it?
Yeah, I know, but I don't know why they call themselves ride-sharing.
Because they probably don't want to do the taxis for taxis.
Uber
seem like a taxi service.
Yeah, Uber has nothing to do with ride sharing. You just have someone driving you around. Yeah, exactly. So if you are planning on using Uber or Ola, you will be paying about $60 to $75, depending on where you're going in the CBDs. That's going to be about the price that you're thinking about getting. So same thing, that is cheaper than taxi for that option.
One thing about Uber, though, I don't think they actually have the right to take people right up to the doorstep of the airport.
Yeah, you stop it further.
Yeah, so that's it's not a big deal. You just have to walk probably a couple of minutes. But the Uber doesn't have the same rights as taxis do to take you straight to the front door of the airport.
Yeah, exactly. So, and now, if price is one of your concerns, there is a way to get it a little bit cheaper. But let me just try to find this one, because is wait, because this one is like a nonsensical crazy one. So
Yeah, so
for $12.50,
yeah.
so $12.50, you get an amount of buses which is ungodly, and I will take you back to the CBD. So do you want to cover this one? It's, if you're really cheap as and you really want, so again, $15 you can take backpackers shuttle, and that will take you where you need to go. But for $12.50, that's still a saving. You can do that.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
There is the 380 Airporter bus service, which takes you basically around the suburbs around the airport. So if you arrive at the Auckland airport, you can take the 380 Airporter bus, and you should take that to the Papatoetoe train station. And there you can hop on a train to the CBD, which is pretty cheap as well. And yeah, that's the way to basically get to the, that's a long-winded way to get to the CBD, but it's the cheapest way. Yeah. So if budget really is a concern and you do have a lot of time on your hands, take all the public transport to get there, and that is another option. Yeah, I have done that once, I have to say. I put my hand up there, and I have done that once. It's very long. It's not fun to carry all your luggage after a long flight. It's just, yeah. But one thing about the 380 Airporter bus is that it only runs at certain times. So it's between 5 a.m. and 10:50 p.m. Monday to Friday. Pretty much the same sort of deal. Then Saturday, Sundays, it's 6:40 a.m. to 11:40 a.m. So that should probably, that would be a.m. Yeah. So basically, as long as you arrive in the middle of the day, that might work. But otherwise, it might be a little bit hard to figure out. All right. So basically, it all depends on the size of the party, how many people you're traveling with, basically. Not like party like that. Depend on the size of your party, depend on your budget, and it depends how flexible you want it to be. But I mean, we obviously, most of the time, we use the shuttles. Just because it turns out that most of the time we arrive in the middle of the night, but that's just us. We're just unlucky that way. Yeah. But yeah, most of the time we use the shuttles. We find it a bit more flexible. But it works. I mean, for example, let's say if you're staying in hostels in the CBD and you want to save some money, if you're staying at Bay's hostel, for example, there's literally a Sky bus stop almost right in front of it. Yeah. Similar for Nomad's hostel. So it's kind of like, if your hotel is right on the route, on the route, if you're staying in the Mercure in Auckland, it's right on Queen Street, so you're gonna have a Sky bus stop right there as well. So it really depends on where you are staying in the CBD as well. Because if the Sky bus drops you off right in front of where you're staying, you may as well save almost $20, and I mean that's pretty good. But yeah. So yeah, that's our take on it. We obviously do have an article on backpackerguide.nz to help you guys out on that one. So it's called the cheapest airport transfer option in Auckland Airport. Look at that. The cheapest airport transfer option in Auckland. Boom. Write that down, guys. Check it out. And there is really a lot of information. We go through every single one of the options that you can have. And we do that for almost every subject of traveling in New Zealand. Yeah. So nice little plug right here. Check out our website. We are awesome. We put a lot of work into it. All right. If you guys found that useful, like and subscribe. Thank you very much. Let's go back to the live chat. Okay, what is happening? Ewan says, can you start a fire in a campsite like our own portable barbecue? You can in the actual selected campsite if there is no fire ban on. So. Yeah, usually there's sort of signs up if you can't start a fire, but if it's your own portable barbecue, that should be fine. Usually there in some campsites, like the Department of Conservation campsites, they have little areas for you to actually, like, contained areas where you're only allowed to start a fire in those little areas. They're usually like brick sort of things, and then you put your firewood and stuff in the middle. So usually portable barbecue should be fine, but just make sure to read the signs and see if there's any fire bans. Yeah, and control your fire, obviously. Like be fire smart, obviously. But usually people that travel with portable barbecue, they kind of know what they're doing. Yeah. Pravitran Anandurai says, can we get a job easily if we are from abroad? Yes, and we've got plenty of videos about that. Yes, we've got if you just search even search on YouTube on the full search bars, search how to find a job in New Zealand. We do have loads of advice in that article about finding a job. Internet people from overseas can easily find a job. It's not easy to find a job if you're overseas yourself and you are trying to find a job while overseas, that's when it's not easy to find a job, and you should definitely wait until you're actually in New Zealand, because once you arrive in New Zealand, finding a job is basically super easy, barely an inconvenience.
Barely an inconvenience, I agree with that.
Yeah, and then is that a Google Plus share button?
What, did you mean on the side? No, we don't have that. What are you talking about?
Oh, we've got
Pinterest. It's
Pinterest.
No. What are you about? I don't know. Do you really think we do Google Plus?
We used to.
We used to
when Google Plus was kind of new.
Yeah, when it came out, everybody thought when Google Plus came out, let's be honest, everybody thought, oh, it's Google, it's going to work.
It was terrible.
Well, you went in the archive of the Google Glass. You guys remember the Google Glass when it came out, and everybody was like, oh my gosh, we're going to have those glasses, and bam, never worked.
Nope.
No, that's the good old things, the good old innovation by Google.
All right.
Well, you guys are coming up with some question a little bit less sassy than the one that Alomo is giving us right now. Sassy boy. We are going to cover some other questions. Do you want to read this one?
Yes, I will.
All right.
It's an essay question, this one. Okay.
All right, let's read the longest question we've ever had.
Yeah, so Toby on Facebook asked, hi, Laura and Robin. I might have a YouTube Q&A question if there is time to answer it. I travelled the South Island and a bit of Wellington earlier this year for 2 months. It was amazing, and I definitely go back to do the North Island next February or March with approximately 2 to 3 weeks of time. I'm excited to see volcanoes and native bush, or just photograph interesting things I see, so I put Taranaki and Tongariro on my list. Is it necessary / better to have a car, or are there also some transport options to visit the Egmont National Park or the Tongariro region? Do you furthermore have a few whimsical native forests that you can recommend on the North Island? Thanks a lot for the inspiration on my last NZ trip, Toby.
Nice. You know what I like about that this guy used our websites and videos for his previous trip, and he's still come back to us. And we didn't do much of a bad job. We did kind of okay.
Yeah.
All right. So this question has 2 parts. First up, do you need a car to travel around the Taranaki and the Tongariro region? And the second, do we recommend other forests which are a bit more whimsical and fun to visit and photograph? So let's start addressing the beginning of the question, the first part of the question, which is, do we actually need a car for traveling around Taranaki and Tongariro?
I would definitely recommend taking a car to those 2 regions. Basically, the public transport will only take you to sort of the main towns. It will be very hard to access the national parks themselves and get to all those smaller walks and less. Robbie just spilled water all over the place. It would be harder to get to some of the. Oh my God, Robin. It'll be harder to get to some of the walks that are a little bit more off the beaten track, which definitely seems like the sort of thing that you want to do if you want to see native forests and that sort of thing. So, but in short, getting a car is necessary, I would definitely say. It will make your life so much easier and give you the ultimate freedom to get to the places that you want to go.
Yeah, we find that quite a lot of the North Island hike are very hard to access if you try to use public transport. And that has been... Oh, that's how you drink without spitting it everywhere. Is that how it works? Sorry, I'm learning, guys. It's being human 101 for me. So yeah, so we going back to it, we do find it's a bit harder. Now the good thing is getting a car on the North End is actually a bit easier than on the South End, because a lot of people start and finish their trip in Auckland. So there is a much bigger and larger car market over there, i.e. easier to get a car to rent, and usually prices are a little bit cheaper, especially if you do a loop and you go back to Auckland. And easier also to buy a car if you want to buy a car. But since you're traveling for only 2-3 weeks, don't go there, just rent yourself a car. You can get something quite cheap. And we actually do have an article on Backpacker Guide with the best car rentals from Auckland, which is very much likely where you're going to arrive. Yeah. And so we'll link to it in the description below for you. But yeah, you're in luck. It's going to be a little bit cheaper to rent a car from Auckland to Auckland rather than, from Auckland down to the South End, or just staying on the South End as well. So that's the first part of your question. Definitely much better for you to have a car. On top of it, you are traveling in, February and March, so it's not even the winter, so it's going to be easy to drive on the North Island. You won't be, hitting any snow or any frost or anything like that, so it's going to be perfect.
Yeah.
And the next question the next section of the question was to find some whimsical forests which are worth photographing and all that. So what I want to start with is that you are going to Taranaki, which, especially in the Egmont National Park, which is probably the most whimsical forest in the whole world. I just want to point out, it is amazingly
It's a bold
whimsical.
statement, but it's true.
I would stand by it. I would genuinely stand by it, guys. Watch our video of it. Check out the pictures that we have of it. It is absolutely fantastic. So you made the right choice if you're looking for a whimsical forest. I can't recommend you anything better than that. We can't recommend you anything better than that. No way, Jose.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, and also it's so whimsical, in fact, that the name of some of the walking tracks really reflect that. For instance, we took a trail there, which we actually have a video on, and we'll make sure to link it up in the description below. But the trail we took was called the Enchanted Track, and it did really feel like it was an enchanted track.
That is the Goblin something.
Yeah, and they have a nickname for some of the forests over there called the Goblin Forest, because it does feel like there's going to be little goblins jumping out from behind the trees, and which are all sort of winding and twisting up to the sky.
So you're absolutely gonna love that. But so what we did on this one, sorry, my train of thought is going. We actually just got some forest which is going to be slightly different to what you're looking at, because you don't necessarily want to come to New Zealand for 3 weeks and see the same kind of forest all the time. So we just have a selection of like really different and fun looking forests for you to look at. And it starts with the Waipua Forest.
Yeah, so the Waipua Forest is in the Northland region of the North Island. So that's above Auckland, sort of near the Bay of Islands. And up there, it's famous for having some of the largest trees in New Zealand called kauri trees. And yeah, they are absolutely huge, and the whole forests there are amazing. There's loads of different walks that you can do around there, quite short walks, but that's definitely going to give you some awesome photo opportunities if you can even get a photo containing those huge trees. It's usually quite difficult to do that, but yeah, Waipua Forest is definitely on the top of our list for forests on the North Island.
The Redwood Forest also is pretty famous. So is it the Whakarewa Forest? That correct?
Yeah.
So it is in Rotorua, and it has really basically massive. They're pine, redwood pine, right? I think they're called redwood. I'm not sure. But anyway, they're big, like kind of reddish, kind of big pine trees. They're huge, and it looks really awesome. And the thing with those kind of trees is that they are very acidic. So when the pines fall, it kind of makes the soil acidic. So it kind of kills a lot of the other plants that can't really grow there. So it's not a native forest, but it makes the whole forest, when you walk into it, you're just between one massive tree to one massive tree, and the rest is kind of bare. It gives a very weird, empty look to the forest. It's really cool. And if you're into your photos, you can get some really awesome one there.
Yeah. Okay, so another one which is also a plantation, it's not a native forest, but it's a very different type of forest, is the Eastwood Hill Arboretum. I always struggle saying that word. Arboretum. And this is basically the largest plantation in the southern hemisphere of northern hemisphere trees. So that's its claim to fame. But actually, it's a really awesome forest to sort of look around. There's so many crazy different types of trees there. And it does attract a lot of native birds. So if you're into any bird photography, perhaps, on your travels, then you can take some awesome photos of the birds around. They even do sort of the curator tours there. So they go around in a Jeep. We actually did that ourselves and did a video about it. So we'll also link that in the description below as well. But you can take a curator tour and sort of learn more about the forest. It's kind of like a tree museum. It's really
it's
cool.
quite interesting.
Yeah.
So the next one is Sanctuary Mountains. So this is a native forest. It's basically a place where they actually have fence everywhere around, and it's a predator-proof fence, which means that no cats, no ferrets, no predators, no possums can actually get in. And that means that a lot of wildlife has been reintroduced right here and has been helped to thrive. There is kiwi birds, there is a lot of other native birds. There is even the tuatara, which is New Zealand three-eyed lizards. Yes, 3 eyes. You can learn more about that over there. It's a really awesome place to visit. We genuinely love it so much. We have a video about it on the channel, so we'll put the link down there. And it's really awesome to visit. There's also some takahe, which has some really big blue and red birds, which is really awesome. They walk on the floor. It's a really amazing thing to visit. So Sanctuary Mountain, definitely.
Yeah. And finally on our list, we've got the Te Urewera Forest, which is the largest tract of native forest in the North Island. And it's located between the Bay of Plenty region and the Gisborne region. And in there, it's a pretty wild place to be. Most of the access to get into this forest is all gravel road. But inside the forest, there are a load of really amazing waterfalls to see, loads of different hiking trails, and right in the center is Lake Waikaremoana, which there is a great walk that goes around that, one of the New Zealand Great Walks. And we actually we have articles about all the different hikes you can do there. We'll link that in the description below. We also went and did a boat trip there ourselves in New Zealand's biggest gap year, where we did 365 days of 365 activities. So we'll make sure to add that video in the description below as well. But yeah, if you're really looking for a really off the beaten track adventure, then the Te Urewera National Park, or it's not a national park anymore, but the forest is really amazing.
All right, so that is our take for, well, both. Do you need a car to travel around the Taranaki and Tongariro region in the North Island? And what are some of the best and most fun-looking forests in the North Island? If you guys found that useful, like and subscribe. We are here every single week at 8 a.m. New Zealand time. Every single week on Sunday at 8 a.m. New Zealand time to answer all your questions about traveling in New Zealand. All right, let's go back to the live chat. Frank Wonder asks, do you have any advice for someone who's just like to stay in their apartment?
I do have advice, but you might not like it.
Actually, there's an amazing hike to do if you move from your bedroom toward the kitchen. It's about a 20 to 30-second hike, but there is some pretty amazing sights. If you take a good look on the left, you will be able to see your bathroom. In the bathroom, there is both a toilet, a rest stop, which is quite awesome and maintained by some amazing people that keep your apartment clean for you because you're a lazy bum. There is also a really amazing place where you can actually get into a natural hot pool. This hot pool comes from a beautiful tap. It's going to keep you warm and clean. And once you're out in the kitchen, there is a beautiful scenic lookout to your breakfast bench with a lot of wild food to find. Now, that's a very sad hike, and if you're in New Zealand and staying in your apartment, it's really sad. So if I can give you an advice, check out on this channel. There's a lot of videos about awesome things to do in New Zealand. Check out New Zealand's biggest gap year, where we challenge ourselves to do 365 activities in New Zealand in 365 days. And after watching that for about 15 to 20 minutes, you're going to be sick of hearing our voice, and you're going to get out of your room and go explore New Zealand in one of the amazing places we visit. So that's basically it. Don't stay in your apartment if you're in New Zealand. What is that? Next. Way too much time allocated to this question. Matthew says, looking to come in early October. I think water/kayak activities like Katura Cove, Hot Water Beach, or similar will be advisable or wrong time of the year for it.
There's never really a bad time to do those sort of activities.
October is pretty warm. So.
Yeah, exactly. It is a good time of year. It's usually quite warm weather. But the good thing about the activity providers is that they have all the equipment sort of to keep you warm while you're out kayaking and stuff. They have like splash jackets. They have obviously the buoyant seawater vests and all that sort of thing. But yeah, they usually in winter they do have the extra stuff to keep you warm. They are concerned about how comfortable everyone is.
Well, they want the tour to be enjoyable.
Exactly.
Anyway,
yeah. So even though you are coming at a good time of year to do those activities, the thing to note is that any time of the year is a good time to do those activities.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's in October anyway. The weather is quite good in October, so you won't be cold or anything like that. So yeah, you probably actually gonna die, like jump in the water when you're having Katura Cove. To be quite honest,
yeah.
you actually gonna want to swim. All right. So Russell says the Timber Trail is one of the best trail in North Island, and it's true. It's pretty awesome. We love the Timber Trail, and we have a video on the channel about it as well. God damn, we've done a lot.
We have.
Sarah says, there is so many activities I want to do. Is there any way to save some little extra cash trying to do things in Auckland? Skywalk and Skyjump, Milford Sound and French Joseph Heady Hike. It all costs a lot. There is a way to save money is to cut some off. You don't necessarily need to do the Skywalk and Skyjump. If you just go up the Sky Tower, you get about the same view.
Yeah.
And those cost really a lot of money. And if you want to save a lot, that's not the one I would do in New Zealand, to be quite honest.
Yeah, I mean, if you are desperate to do the skywalk or the sky jump, first of all, I would only choose one of those. I wouldn't choose both because they're, in a way, quite similar experiences because you still get the same sort of views. If you want, the sky jump is a really quick activity. Basically, it's like a quick adrenaline rush and then it's over. But whereas the skywalk, you actually get more time to embrace the activity itself, I'd say. Like you get more time to sort of see the scenery, do some pretty scary things like leaning over the edge. But all in all, yeah, like Robin said, or you could go a step further and actually just go up the Sky Tower and enjoy the views from the observation deck or one of the cafes or something.
From $25 to $200, that's a big difference. So I'm taking the $25 ticket to go up the Sky Tower.
So that's definitely a way of saving money on there. For Milford Sound, you have loads of different options of cruises, and there are some cruises that are much cheaper than others. For instance, the Juicy Cruise is known for being one of the cheapest ones. The Go Orange is also one of the cheaper options. And they do, the cruises all take round about the same route and the same amount of time.
It just depends on what kind of service you're getting along the way.
Yeah, exactly. So definitely do some comparisons on the different cruises at Milford Sound and the different ways to get there as well.
Where can we do comparison on all the cruises, Laura?
Well, good segue, Robin, because we just happen to have an article on backpackerguide.nz which does compare all the cruises and takes you to links to all the where you can book all those cruises as well, so you can compare the prices. And yeah, like I say, they're very similar experiences. So just if it's about saving money, then you can definitely just go for the cheapest one and you'll still have an amazing time. As for the Franz Josef heli hike, that is one that is expensive and there's not many ways to reduce the cost.
I have a way to reduce the cost of that.
Oh yeah? What's that?
Yeah, don't do Franz Josef and go do Mount Cook. So if you go in Mount Cook, first, the area is wonderful. You're going to be heli hiking on the Tasman Glacier instead of the Franz Josef Glacier. Very similar, but the Tasman Glacier is the longest glacier in the country. So that's pretty awesome. And it's actually about $50 to $100 cheaper. So here you go. Boom, I just saved you quite a lot of money by just doing that. And on top of it, the Franz Josef Glacier is very famously unreliable weather-wise. So quite often you're going to have your tour cancelled because, well, the weather is very wide on the west coast. However, if you go up the other side and you go to Mount Cook, the weather is much more regular and much more mild. And so Mount Cook heli hike, I think the name is Mount Cook Glacier Guides. I think that's what it is.
Yeah.
So Mount Cook Glacier Guides. Check those guys out; they're pretty awesome. So
that's good advice.
I know.
I didn't think of that one.
You want to travel cheap? You talk to Robin.
Yeah,
I can tell you that.
If you have any more things you want to save money on, just put them in the live chat, and we will try and find ways of finding cheaper alternatives.
I'm here with my shaver, my friend, and I'm going to shave all your costs. All right. Yeah, Sarah says her husband is a big Lord of the Rings fan, so I do not have a way to save on the Hobbiton tour, that's for sure.
Yeah, there definitely are free Lord of the Rings locations that you can visit, and we do have an article on backpackerguide.nz, which is the 23 Lord of the Rings destinations or locations in New Zealand. So if you go on backpackerguide.nz, search for Lord of the Rings and you will see our list of all the destinations you can go to, and many of which are free to go to.
Yeah, we like free stuff.
Yeah.
Who doesn't? Frank says, thank you for the tips. You're welcome. I'm glad I showed you an amazing hiking trail around your apartment. Matthew say, great. What about glow? So he was asking about the kayaking stuff. Yes. He say, well, how about the glowworms hike and the caves? Seasonal consideration or any time is good. So for those, there are some seasonal consideration to take into account because the only reason the tours will be cancelled will be if the water levels are too high in the caves, which happen when they are, right after heavy rainfalls. And the good thing is that you're traveling in October, it doesn't rain that much, so it's pretty awesome.
You should be sweet.
You'll be sweet. So and on top of it, you're in caves. So it's not going to get the temperature. I think the temperature between the height of summer and the coldest of winter, the water temperature inside the caves only changes by 2 degrees, which is very minimal. So if you do some blackwater rafting or caving, exploring with way too more adventures, that you want to do around the area, you are provided with really thick wetsuits, so there is not much of a way. I mean, the video that we've done on the Black Hole rafting, which you can find on YouTube, we did that in the height of the winter, and we actually, in all truth, we did the normal tours as well, and we filmed a little bit, but to get some extra shots and everything, we went back after hour with some of the guides, and so we went there in middle of the night, in the middle of winter, and we were standing around to do a couple of filming, and we didn't get that cold. So you'll be totally fine. There is no need to panic about that at all. Cool. Carl Tainui says, you guys are doing an awesome job. Hey, that's not the question, but that's awesome. I like to hear that. Can you guys tell us how awesome we are more often?
I love a good compliment.
And Sarah say thank you. All right. Well, you guys are coming up with some more questions or compliments. We are gonna go for another one of the question that you sent us throughout the week. God, I feel cheeky today.
You are cheeky today.
I'm a cheeky boy today also. I can drink. There is water everywhere on the desk, by the way. I'm trying to find a piece of paper which is not completely drenched.
Ask a question which isn't drenched right now.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to find. Actually, Matt Buchan, you actually did send us a question on Facebook.
Oh, let's go for that.
What about we go with this one? Look at that, since Matt is here.
Do you want me to go for it?
Yeah, so Matt, you sent us a question on Facebook. What was it?
Okay, so Matt Buchan on Facebook asked, hi, love all your resources for planning a trip to New Zealand. Planning to be there with my son in October for 2 weeks. One question, if you have addressed it and can point to me or could provide me some input. I don't have a mobile phone that would travel well currently. Thinking either to go local prepaid basic phone while there and / or bringing a small tablet.
That's why I usually read the questions.
Yeah, it says small table, but tablet, getting a local data SIM and using supplement Wi-Fi access and possibly use for Skype calling back home and locally while there if I skip the local basic phone option. Any thoughts? Is it practical to get a low-cost basic phone for short-term use or not common practice?
All right, so in short, the question, just to recap that question, the question is it better to find a cheaper local phone, or is it better to try to get your phone from back home to work in New Zealand, or even buy a brand new phone from home? All right. So just to address the first part of your question, when you're talking a little bit about Skype. So Skype is a great way to keep in touch with your friend and family back home. So is FaceTime and any of those other apps. However, it's not going to be a good way to contact businesses around New Zealand. They usually are not on Skype to do this kind of things. They use the normal good old phone. New Zealand is not really kind of...
it's not high tech. It's not, with the times. Yeah. It likes basic phone calls, barely does email.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
And on top of that, if you do have a phone number from back home, you're unlikely to be called by companies. So if there's a chance to your bookings and everything like that, they're not necessarily going to like to call you on a USA phone number because you have to pay a surcharge for that. So getting yourself a New Zealand SIM card, even if you're traveling in New Zealand for only 3 weeks, is usually a really good idea. Now the SIM card may not work in your, in your phone, and your phone may not be compatible with that. You may not be aware on how to change SIM cards. You may have one of that iPhone that had the SIM card integrated to it, and you can't change the SIM card, which came out once. I can't remember when, but there was a whole shebang about that. Nonsense. So that may not be super practical. So a lot of people go the route of going with an good old-fashioned cell phone, which is super cheap, which is usually not a smartphone, so a dumb phone, and use it for the duration of their trip. And this is what we think is the best way to do. You can get yourself a dumb phone in New Zealand for about $20 to $30, and that comes with the SIM card. The SIM card is on prepaid, so that will allow you to actually be able to super flexible and not just spend whatever you have. So for dumb phones, one of the main brand in New Zealand is Huawei. I do not know how to pronounce that, but there are plenty of them everywhere. And they have phones, they still have a bit of a color screen, but they look like a Nokia 3310 that everybody had in the days.
Yeah.
So whoop whoop, Nokia undestroyable phone. So it does look like that. And they are. I think at the moment they are about $30. So you can find those things at the warehouse. It's kind of It's the equivalent of like a Kmart.
Yeah, it's like a cheap department store, so they do have an entertainment section with cell phones for sale.
Exactly. And as per network-wise, you have a choice of plenty of them. Now, we have one that we prefer, which is called Skinny, because it runs on the Spark network. The Spark network is the one that has the best coverage around the country, and it also is really cheap. So for about 1 month of use in prepay, you can spend $26 to buy like a bundle, and you have like 200 minutes of calling, which is more than what you need. You have quite a few gigabytes of data, which you're not going to be able to use on your dumb phone, and there is unlimited text, so you're sweet with that. So you kind of think about the whole thing, and you're probably going to be spending about $50 for everything you need for the month, including the phone. And then after, with your dumb phone, you can go on one of our Facebook group and just give it away to someone. You can leave it in the hostel. You can sell it to someone. You can keep it as a souvenir. You can be like, look, what is in New Zealand? That's ridiculous, right? Yeah, you can do what you want. Any other tips on that?
Well, if you are wanting to check whether your phone will actually work in New Zealand or not, we do have an article on backpackerguide.nz, which is "Will your phone work in New Zealand?" You just search for that on our website, or we'll put a link in the description below in the rebroadcast of this video. But there's a link on there to basically help you you put in some codes or something from your phone, and it basically tells you whether it will work.
IME code.
Yeah, that's the one. That's the one. And it basically tells you whether your phone will work in New Zealand. So you can maybe test that out as well. And if you want to do a bit of comparison on the phone networks in New Zealand, we do have an article called "Which is the best phone network in New Zealand?" And we'll also link that in the description below, and you can do a bit of comparison there and see what's your cheapest option and which has the best coverage.
And now I want to give you a piece of advice as well. Almost everybody arrives in the Auckland airport, and most people really want to get these things sorted really quickly because nobody lives without a phone nowadays. Now, the SIM cards at the airport have a very different deal than what you can get elsewhere, because obviously the tourists have different needs, i.e. they can be taken more advantage of. So I strongly advise not to buy any phone plans and any SIM cards at the airport, and especially not to use the free SIM cards which are provided to anyone, anywhere, taking one of those free magazines or this and that, because they do not include the best deal whatsoever. However, near the Auckland, I can't emphasize that enough that they are a big tourist trap. Just outside of the Auckland airport, about a 5-minute drive or a very short cab ride away, there is a big one of those stores called the Warehouse, and then there is the local offer. There is the much cheaper phone, there is the cheaper SIM card, there is the better deals. So those preloaded SIM card, not a good deal. And those free travel SIM cards are very much not a good deal, especially since they use one of the worst networks in New Zealand, which are called 2 degrees. So yeah, that's basically our take on it, just because I've seen a lot of people been taking advantage of that when we see that we get about twice what they get, just because they picked up their deal at the airport. So just waiting for this one out, because we got you back and because I am cheap as. Anyway, if you did like all those tips, if you find anything that we're doing useful, hit the like button. That's super useful to us. That shows YouTube that you guys like what we do. That shows YouTube that we actually are useful, and maybe YouTube is going to show this video to more people. And also you can subscribe, because we do that all the time. So thank you very much for that. All right, let's go back to the live chat. Charlie's back. Hey, Charlie, how are you doing? He was here last week, I think. And Matt says, thanks, guys. Perfect on the phone advice. Perfect's a bit of a big word, but yeah, I think we did pretty well.
I would have gone with impeccable.
Impeccable. That is. See, that's why she's the writer. You know what I mean? She has all this fluffy vocabulary, and this artist ego. Obviously.
Ego, yes.
Yeah, of course. That's the writer's ego.
I cannot control my ego sometimes.
All right, so it looks like some of you guys are heading to New Zealand really soon, so we hope that you guys are going to have a blast in the country. It's really awesome to see that Rugby Lover 81 is on his way to New Zealand this week. I mean, that is awesome. And Matt, it looks like you're going to be going to New Zealand in October, so that's a pretty good time of the year. It's the end of spring, right? Yeah, it's the end of spring. So yeah, you're going to be in end of spring leading to summer in New Zealand. So just keep that in mind when packing and when considering that. By the way, if you're looking into packing, we have plenty of tips on both backpackerguide.nz and on this channel as well. We did the whole packing videos and everything, so you can play the video while you pack your bag. You know, I mean, we do that when we travel. Sometimes we kind of like just get on one of the YouTube videos and we kind of follow them. We're like, oh, they use packing cubes. By the way, guys,
I love packing cubes.
Oh my God, if you can get yourself some packing cubes, it's going to change your life. We have just made the transition from packing cube from you know, crazy backpacks, nonsense suitcase mess to packing cubes, and our life is just so much better now.
Feel so organized with packing cubes. If you're into organization and, you know, keeping everything in line, then packing cubes are the way to go, and it makes everything so easy.
If you're also into saving times, you know, just gotta
it's
be
so
able to
easy
find
to find your stuff.
Yeah,
God,
so packing cubes.
I wish I'd found them sooner.
Yeah, packing cubes are awesome. Do we like packing cubes?
Yeah, I think we do.
We do like packing cubes.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you very much for joining us for another one of our live videos. We are here
every single
Sunday
at 8 a.m. New Zealand time.
Which is where in the world and what time?
So in the US, that is on a Saturday afternoon / evening at 4 p.m. EST or 12 p.m. PST. In Europe, so in the UK, that's on a Saturday evening at 9 p.m. Or in France, that is 10 p.m. or
22 heures.
And in India, that is bright and early on a Sunday morning at 1:30 a.m. But if you're unsure of what the time is where it is where you are, then we will be putting a link at the description of this video, which has a little handy link to the time.
We found that out lately and we love it.
Timeanddate.com. And basically you find where you are and you see what's the time going to be where you are at 8 a.m. New Zealand time.
Yeah, and also I'm sick of just saying the French version of it, so I think I'm going to learn the Hindi way to say 1:30 a.m.
Okay.
Any Indians out there which are watching our video, if you can do a video for me that says 1:30 a.m. with a nice pronunciation, you go slow enough for me to learn it, I will try to do it next week. So that'd be lovely. Send me the link on YouTube, Facebook, anywhere. It's backpackerguide.nz, pretty much everywhere. So just type that and you'll find us. Anyway, thank you very much for joining us for another awesome live chat. It's always awesome to hang out with you guys, travelers.
All right, see you next week.
Bye-bye.